Hi there, and welcome to the Skylight Books author reading series. If you'd like to learn more about us and our many upcoming author events, please visit skylightbooks.com, where you can browse our inventory, buy books, and join our Friends with Benefits Club. You can also follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. To speak to a real live bookseller like me, please call 323-660-1175. Thanks for your support, and enjoy.
I like standing in the back over there, like we're backstage, like nobody can see us and we can't see it. Like we have men just standing out here, like picking our wedgies for the past half hour.
We're shit-talking queer literary awards in the corner if you need more information.
As we do. You guys, this is Ali Liebegott. I'm here to toot her horn. Look at this is her beautiful new book, The Summer of Dead Birds. She made the painting on the cover because she's also a painter as well as a writer. Some people can do both. So Allie's wife person, Beth Pickens, has referred to the Liebegottian voice in a sort of humorous way, but there really is a Liebegottian voice, you guys, and it's filled with all this pathos, and it's like very serious and gritty, and it's also super absurd and funny and like grossly funny, like really hilarious, like the kind of, when you start laughing and you kind of have a weird spell and you can't stop laughing and then you start crying, it's like that. Allie's writing, and yeah, it has so much tenderness, and it's really unafraid. It's unafraid to get really dark and really, really real, and super tender, and then unafraid to just be really weird and really funny, and always has such a moral compass embedded in it, not hammering you over the head with it. It's just there. It's the heart of all of Allie's work. It's just this really beautiful sense of justice that sort of grounds everything that she does. What do you think of that? Pretty cool, huh?
It's really nice.
Yeah, thank you. I fucking freestyled that, Because me and Allie met each other. Let's make this more about me for a minute. You'll have your time. We met each other. The year was 1993. I was very drunk at the Paradise Lounge, and I got on the mic, and I was like, I'm going to start an all-girl poetry gang. If you want to be in a gang, come talk to me after the reading. And all these bitches came who all wanted to be in a writing group. They all wanted to workshop poetry. And Allie was the only person who was like, I want to be in a gang. And so, in fact, we started, we went and we would, stencil things like animals for the ethical treatment of women.
Yes.
Was one.
All over San Francisco.
Yeah. Ban testosterone before testosterone meant what it does today.
Los Feliz graffiti always makes me laugh. Has anyone noticed the graffiti in Los Feliz? It's like, stop taking selfies. It's so specific to Los Angeles and a Los Feliz experience. Consumerism. Go ahead, buy another sweater. It's like this was pre that. We laid the groundwork for that, Michelle.
We did. It's all our fault. I've been friends with Allie since she was self-publishing poems in poetry chapbooks, and they've always been so strong and so beautiful and gripped when we would go on the first Sister Spit tour and nobody knew who any of us were, and Allie would just sell out of her chapbooks because everyone would just fall in love with her voice, the Liebegottian voice. And so I want to know, can you tell us the story of the Summer of Birds? Because I know it has its own sort of backstory.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do want to formally thank Skylight for having us and for supporting poets and even having a poetry section that isn't just, a calendar of poems, in most bookstores. And thanks, everyone, for coming out. Your fear as a poet, I think especially in Los Angeles, is that no one will know what that means. So it's really, really nice to see so many faces of people who mean so much to me. So that I've known for so many there's so many San Franciscans here that knew Michelle and I back in the day when we were running around. But anyway, yeah, so this book is my first book that I ever published. Michelle's also responsible for all of my books being published. She's kind of brought them all to the publisher and said, publish this person. And I'm so grateful to you for that, because this book was written in really 2007, and it sat in a drawer and no one wanted to publish it, And then Michelle started this imprint at Feminist Press called Amethyst Books, and and they didn't even want to publish it. And then,
Well, they
No, they
were
didn't.
afraid to publish. They were afraid to publish poetry. Like even publishers are afraid of poetry, And so I just had to explain that you're thinking about it wrong. It's don't think about it as a poetry book. Think about it as an Ali Liebegott book. And then they were like,
they're like, who's Ali Liebegott? And she's
No.
like, just trust me on this one. But anyway, so it's so wonderful because you write books and then they sit in a drawer and you wonder, are they books? You know they are, but to have it be in, you're like, it is a book. So it's always validating to do that. And they were very generous to let me take off the horrible cover they had made and let me do my own. So basically they stole a card from Etsy in 1985 and tried to make it a cover, but I was like, I got an idea. Anyway, so my first book was a book-length poem called The Beautifully Worthless, and I always had, it was really a road story about, me and my dog, Rorschach. I had this Dalmatian for 16 years that I was in this sick relationship with, and she like bit every girlfriend I had in the face, and we drove across country, and I did this epic trip where I went across country with her, and it was like pre-cell phones, it was I had no credit cards or anything. I don't even know, I had a map from AAA. I had a triptych, which if you're old enough to know, it was a really great thing. Now I still try to get a triptych from AAA, but they keep telling me to go to the website. But anyway, this journey on the trip, I didn't know I was writing a book, but I brought this typewriter and I started writing this book, and it ended up being this first book, The Beautifully Worthless. And then I thought, I really want to write a trilogy of road poems about my relationship with this dog. And so this was kind of the second book, and this book really is a book. It's my divorce book, and it's a death book, and it's a lot of like fear of Rorschach dying, and so it's very depressing. But I'm still going to read from it, and I still hope you can buy it. And but it is it's in 4 parts, and it's really a book about grief. And I don't know. I'm grateful to I'm Marie Kondoing all my papers right now, and I'm finding journals from like high school where it's just like the scrawlings of a crazy person. And I'm just so grateful that in some ways it's like a record of my own experience. And I think that that's what is so great about poems in general, is like they're these like mini kind of not psychic, but psychic moments. So that's the story.
do you want to read?
Yeah, I'll read a little bit, and then a little bit goes a long way, and then we'll talk a little more, and then I'll close with a few other poems.
And then you can ask her questions.
Yeah.
All the questions you've always wanted to
Well,
ask
not
her.
all of them. I wanted to let everyone know I did write the book. You can see because I'm wearing the same shirt and the author photo. This is not like, I wrote the book. So the first part is a long poem about my ex's mother being in hospice with her mother. I was like, why can't I see it? Have you ever gotten in the shower with your glasses on? Has anyone done that? And then you're like, my glasses? Yeah, it's really weird. Have you ever put glasses on over your glasses? Have you ever swallowed your glasses thinking it's a pill? We waited for the paramedics in the driveway, smoking and making phone calls, retelling the story of her beautiful death to everyone in her phone book. The ambulance surprised us. It pulled up without sirens on. 2 polite men slid a gurney out the back, unsnapping each of its wheeled legs. I was afraid of seeing your mother's body taken away. They gave you a moment alone to say goodbye, and then zipped her inside a bright blue body bag and pushed her on a gurney out the dim hallways of her own house. Rorschach will be 13 in a few weeks. I want to ask every stranger in the street, what's the oldest dog you ever knew? It's early and bright, the street apocalyptic in its emptiness, like a Sunday, but it's not. Rorschach tugs to get a good sniff of the flattened pigeon. It's real, I want to say. Not a photographer's pawn dressed up in tatters, face streaked with soot. No makeup man lifting up those wings, pretending the edges of a last-minute escape. But no one needs to tell Rorschach what's real. Do you know how a goodbye can make you curious? Suddenly there's a million possible streets to explore. Rorschach leads me down a street draped in electrical wires. I follow, lost in thought, listening to the electricity popping above me. My thoughts are, do goodbyes happen years before the actual goodbye? My thoughts are, can leopards change their spots if you wait long enough for the leopard? I follow the crackling wires as far as they'll lead me. It's true, I thought. If the wires fall and these pops turn to sparks, we could lie down and feel them on our faces like raindrops. Rorschach was walking more directly under the wires. She would be the one to get it if they fell. Did I mention I was trying walking meditation? To live with a dog is to have it become part of your body. The first time I was separated from Rorschach, I dropped her at a friend's house the night before a flight. When I returned home to pack, the absence of her sounds was profound. No nails clicking across the floor, no tail thumping into a door frame. Even though she was only a year, I already knew which sounds would go when she was gone. To live with a dog is to grow old with a dog. This is how you lean over to help your blind dog down the steps. This is how you lift your arthritic dog onto the bed. This is how you greet the deaf dog after work. Look for her in every room until you find her asleep, then stand panicked in front of her until her chest moves. My life changed the day I brought Rorschach home, 3 months old and tiny spotted legs. I put a blanket on the floor a few feet from my bed. She'd stay for a second, then scuttle over to me with her tiny puppy legs. Each time I carried her back, I gave her a half-hearted stay. Immediately she returned to me. After 5 times, I gave up. In the middle of the night, I woke to her suckling the bottom of my t-shirt. The whole reason we were doing this dance was because everyone said, don't let the dog sleep in the bed with you. You'll never be able to discipline the dog after that. But the whole point of having a dog is to let it sleep in the bed. Stop there.
Oh my God. Truth. Gosh, I was just really struck, like, we should all be so lucky to have a poet present at our death, you know? Like, right? How beautiful. Like, that, I mean, people die. People are dying right now. And it's just like that you were able to capture this profound moment in people's lives. And
you know, I was thinking about Justin Chin, who's a poet who was a friend of all of ours who passed away a couple years ago. And I drove up to San Francisco to see him, and he was surrounded by poets when he was dying in the hospital, and it was so beautiful. I thought the same thing. It was like, that's what, I mean, don't let any bad poets come. There were a few poets I think he didn't like, but like.
you'll have is it like in your living will?
Yeah, I don't want.
Not allowed at my bedside.
I just want one more white dove than Aaliyah got. Because I'm a Leo. Scatter my ashes at Sizzler.
Across the salad bar. Oh my God. So, I mean, I'm so struck by these poems, like you wrote these poems sort of in real time, right? And now it's years later and the book is out and your life is so different and there's so much mileage between you and this time period. What is it like now to have to sort of embody this work again, and you're about to go out on the road and be reading from it all over the U.S.? How
it's weird.
How does it feel? You freaked out right now?
I mean, I do worry that no one will come to a poetry reading anywhere here where you have to, because you might run into me, and I asked you. But like, I don't know, dude. You know, it is different to the tour a novel than to tour a book of poems, especially when they're sad. But hopefully we can all, I don't know. Also, my own mother is sick right now, so this is like sort of the, that's very strange to be having that. I probably won't be reading from the front portion of the book where someone is dying.
Right. On the tour.
This is fun, huh?
Will you talk about your relationship to painting and how it does or doesn't interplay with your writing and what painting is for you?
Painting for me is fun. unlike writing. Like, I feel like painting is this other thing that I developed. Like, I never had any expectations of myself as a painter. It was just something, although I always wanted to go to art school, I never did that. So everything I do with painting is just something I taught myself, really. And so it's this, it feels a lot like play in the way that writing is something that's been they've both been in my life for quite a while, but writing's felt like this thing that I have to have. I don't know. I don't go around going, I'm Ali the painter. So I think I don't have those same things, with painting. Although times when I've painted more, I've got some of that judgments. We're going to have a painting show, me and Nicole Georges, this summer at junior high.
That's
We're
really exciting.
But painting is really, I think, fun. And like, I can go to a job all day where I have to write and then come home and paint, where I couldn't go to a job all day and write and then come home and write.
Right. So it feels like do you feel like it's activating a different part of your brain or something?
I took this class with Linda Berry, and she always talked about like, when approaching like a work, don't think of it as a series, don't think of it as anything but play. And I think like I often, when I sit down to paint, I try to think of like, I'll just have like the weirdest fucking thought. I'm like, I'm going to make a painting of that. I don't care. You know what I mean? And it's just sort of a very free place to be.
Does she do that with her writing too? Was she suggesting you do that with your writing? Or was she saying that about painting?
I think that's a bigger question, I think.
Yeah.
I think she wrote that book, Cruddy. You guys, if you don't know Linda Berry's Cruddy, I bet they have it here. You should buy it.
So good.
It's a really great, but she wrote that book by paintbrush. So she sat down every day with a legal pad, and for 2 hours she would draw out the words because she believed images were related to the act of drawing, not a typewriter, not a computer. So she drew, and she set the thing for 2 hours, and when that was up, that was it for the day. And then the next day she just started with the legal pad, and the last line of that she'd written the day before, she'd just recopy and then go on, and that was the first draft of the book. And Cruddy's a great book if you haven't read it. It's just, it feels like a magical book that was written by God.
It does. That's a crazy process, though. Life is hard enough. That's insane. That just would make me want to kill myself.
What she said, it might not be for you, Michelle, but what she said was the act of not being able to move quickly. When you'd have the thought for what the line was, the time that it took to paint the line, you had edited a bunch of shit in your head. So it was just sort of this.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it still might not be for you.
Probably not. No, I don't think so. It's like I'm getting anxious just thinking
I know.
about it. So you're seeing this book as the second in a triptych?
Well, the third in the trilogy didn't end up. So I went across country in 2010, and I interviewed all these female poets for this project called "The Heart Has Many Doors," which is the title of an Emily Dickinson poem, even though she doesn't title poems. But anyway. And the journey ended at her house, and I thought that was going to be another thing, and then that just ended up being interviews. So I don't think there are any more books.
There's not another Rorschach book?
No, because I hate my dogs now, and I would never write books for them.
That leads me really nicely to our next question.
They don't deserve books.
So now listen, what is going on? Okay, like there's Rorschach. Like Rorschach is like so holy in all of your writing, even though she was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, Rorschach
she was a mean bitch.
Yeah.
Of a dog, and but she's like so holy. Like so what's going
unpredictable.
on? What's going on? Why are the other dogs so much worse? Like why can't they?
I'm
reach
done
the
with
heights?
dogs. I'm done. I want to live like rich
two.
fags and just go to Mexico City on the weekend and not have to think about dog care. I'm done with it. I'll have a cats from now on. No more dogs after this. I have two if anyone wants them.
How
they're just.
What's
Rorschach
up?
was a special. We can talk about this. Rorschach was
trying.
a dog that I knew I always wanted a dog that was a Dalmatian named Rorschach before I got her. And then I got a dog and moved to New York with a fucking puppy like an idiot with $200 in a Cafe Bustelo can and thought that was a great way to start life in New York. And so I had this dog, Rorschach, the Dalmatian. And I think she suffered a lot, like, compared to my other dogs because of, like, just where I was in my life at that time. Mm-hmm. But she was like a person in some ways. Like, I did drive across country with her so many times, with her just sitting next to me like a mean person. She lived to be 16.
That's crazy.
She was 16. Dalmatians. Dalmatians are crazy. And then I thought, I'll never get a dog as crazy as a Dalmatian again. And then I adopted these 2 street dogs from Mexico who are so much crazier than Rorschach ever was. There you go.
No books for them.
They don't get anything. They're lucky to get dinner.
How was your what was your process around editing and breaking the poems into whenever I think of your writing, a lot of times I think of this one time in the 90s when I don't know what me and Ali were doing in North Beach. We had to have gone to something at City Lights, but we were at this little cafe afterwards, and Ali had like her little army bag and she emptied it out, and it was like, you guys, it was so mentally ill. It was like a million little shreds of paper with like little tiny bits of poems on them, just like a little. It just was like...
Because sometimes you write a whole page and then you go back and you read it and you realize only one sentence is good. So you cut out that sentence.
Okay, that's what it was. And that ended up being the Beautifully Worthless.
Yeah.
So a method to the madness.
Is that true? I don't know. Oh,
Parts
of it were,
Parts of it were, definitely. Parts of it definitely were. And so I'm always so curious about your process. And
this was letters. In my first book, The Beautifully Worthless, there's letters to an ex called Lammy, and it sort of marks where I am in the city and or as I'm traveling across country. And I thought this would have letters too, but then in retrospect, it felt forced. There was letters to my sliding scale therapist in this, and
it's another piece. It's another project.
It's a different project. That's a lifelong project. But so then I just realized I just wanted it to be sparse and just 4 sections. And they're separated into 4 sections. And the very last bit is this. I drove to from San Diego to Carlsbad, New Mexico, because I always wanted to see Carlsbad Caverns, the caves. And I had written like 200 pages about Carlsbad Caverns, which is now Marie Kondoed in the recycling bin somewhere. But no, it was garbage. But it was that I thought it was going to be this different book. And I went to all these places like that. If you're ever driving up, I forget what that road is that would take you from San Diego south like that. Is that highway? Any highway nerds here? No, the one that goes west to east. The 8, I think it's the 8 maybe. Anyway, you go through this place called the official center of the earth. And it's this weird French guy bought this town in the middle of nowhere. And it's not a town, it's just dirt. And he put these plaques up and he called it the official center of the earth. And I was like, I'm going to go there. And he built a pyramid in the place, and you can stand in the official center of the earth. But guess what? What does that even mean? What is the center of the earth? Right? I don't know. Anyway, it was closed. But so I stopped at all these places in Carlsbad. So the last portion is sort of like what was left of the road trip and sort of just driving through the desert and seeing stuff like that.
Do you want to read some
Yeah,
more?
I'll close it out. You know what's great about poems, guys? You don't need anyone to fucking buy them from you. No one has to say, that's a great idea, I'll buy that idea. You just fucking write them. No yahoos like,
Imagine if you had to pitch your poem.
Let me ask.
I think it's about 5 lines. Imagine it.
I really see it as just sort of getting into the death and sadness and just being there. What if you leave knowing there's nothing where you're going, but you go anyway? You need the going, the hand out the window, the red rocks, all that. The hot wind blowing in the window, the back of your T-shirt stuck to the seat, wet with sweat. You need to find a humble, beaten God, like a bad petting zoo goat, always shooed for gnawing the wall. A God like a bar buddy with a flawed and sloppy past, knuckles fucked from punching walls. Finding this God is dire, the same way it's dire to sit next to the right person in the break room after a friend's suicide. A God who'd never say anything stupid, who could understand how a person would climb the bleachers of a football stadium and jump, how this complex sorrow holds inside it the possibility of all our climbing legs. I want the emotions of coloring books, each feeling to remain perfectly contained inside its own thick black line. Grief, utterly grief. Joy, never seeping into anger. Here I am, not forgetting you at all, Like a dog, I drag our corpse from room to room. In the bedroom where your mother died, a tiny bit of Fresno light always seemed to sneak through a fold of curtain. How does a person dislodge the scenes that burn inside them like arsoned cars? The best thing about the desert is there's almost always a train going by, shipping freight cars stacked like colored blocks to the base of the sky. I wish the gap between those boxcars was my birthplace. I understand the risk of losing legs to hop a train, and that horn, who doesn't want to fuck to that sad shit? I drove for a long time beside a boxcar with doors open on both sides, a moving window. I stared through the window to the rest of the far-off desert. I wanted to stick my enormous hand through that gap and touch the other side, to throw the revolver through, then the fistful of bullets. The gold bullets would scatter like sparks, like the beauty of driving behind a tow truck at night, dragging nothing. The chain hanging off the bumper, all those sparks flying up. These are taken from my taxes. What if I don't even know the beginning of forgiveness? It's elusive like a word on a billboard in a foreign country. The same word next to a picture of a flat tire, a gear, or two crudely painted ovens. I guess at repair. I could repair a tire or an oven or a gear. Right now, the only words I understand are the dust, the barrel of nothing. It's Rorschach's birthday. We wear birthday hats and I sing to her. In the motel room, we eat pizza and watch TV. Someone told me Dalmatians are the only dogs that smile. Rorschach was born with a jet black patch over her eye. As she got older, the white hairs slowly overtook the patch. Now the patch is almost white, the tide line moving farther up the shore. Tomorrow we'll start our journey home, wherever home is now. Rorschach walks in a few small circles on the bed, then finally settles down. Sorry. I thought I hated her. I close my eyes and concentrate on her head, resting on my leg. I want to remember the exact weight of it. That's it. Thanks. Thanks, Michelle T.
Okay, everybody wipe their tears and think of a question for Ali.
Oh, questions.
Oh, God. Yeah, you're the author. People have questions, She's a Leo.
Yes.
Get that out of the way. Yeah.
The third book ended up being interviews. Yeah.
But they're really great. And
They're published online on The Believer.
yeah.
I visited a bunch of people, and then I stopped at Emily Dickinson's house last.
And you traveled by Amtrak.
Which is phenomenal if you've never traveled across country on a train. It's Quakers, ex-cons, and retired people, and people terrified to fly.
And you. And some romantic writers.
I really like the dining car. You know what's so funny is... Oh, I want to tell you this story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know about... I think poems are just done when someone takes them out of your hands. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone could have published this book at an earlier state, and it would have been a different book. So it's like, for me, I feel like I kind of come and go with... this is much more clipped than some other poetry that I've written. So I think when I was editing this, I was in a kind of very minimalist mental place.
Cool. You Marie Kondo'd your book.
Yeah. So good. It's a TV show about watching people give away socks and choosing which ones. It's so phenomenal.
I haven't watched it.
It's amazing.
I don't know anything about poetry really, except that it just seems really hard to write. And I feel like the few times in my life where I've ever been tasked with the idea of actually writing it's really short, so every word you want to really pack a punch. Do you torture yourself about every word?
I feel like I write it all down and then I decide which words suck. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, to me, it's like what's so great about poetry is it's just a feeling that you're putting down and that some of those are better than others. You know what I mean? Like, people write hundreds. I mean, I just threw out a bunch of like 200 bad poems. I used to have these files. No, they were awful.
I will take them.
No,
I
they're
will
already in the
take your
garbage.
archive.
I don't want anyone finding them when I'm dead. You know what I mean? But it's like, there was like, just like you write a bunch of stuff and some of it's great and some of it isn't, you know? And so I think what I like so much about poetry is it is something that you can have in a day that feels like you did something that day. That's just between you and the universe, I guess. That sounds like fucking twee, but you know what I mean? It's like true.
Any more questions? Well, yeah.
What do you like about the dining car, and what were you going to tell us that you didn't tell us?
I was going to tell you, I like very much that you get ice cream choices and that it's dishes in the dining car, that you eat off a dish that makes a sound. And then I wasn't going to tell you that when I was on the train across country, I was working at a grocery store in San Francisco, and I was wearing my hoodie with that name of the grocery store on it. And then when I was in the middle of the country, there was the grocery store had this coupon that was in the phone book that was very controversial. And it was like 20% off all your groceries. And people would fight each other for the phone books to get this coupon. And it was this big thing. And then the grocery store decided, we're not going to have the coupon anymore. Basically, no one knows how to act right around the coupon. And the community revolted. And there were like 800 bad Yelp things about what a bad store we were because we wouldn't do the coupon anymore. Anyway, I'm on a train in the middle of the fucking country. And someone's like, saw my hoodie and was like, well, I think the coupon should come back. And I was just like, I can't even believe this is happening. So that's the story I wasn't going to tell you. Thank you guys so much for coming and being here.
Buy Ali's book. Buy poetry books. Buy two. Give one to your friend.
Yeah.
Give one to a sad friend who needs comfort or a happy friend that needs to fucking be a little less happy. You know?
Thanks, Michelle T.
Thank you.
Skylight.
You've been listening to the Skylight Books author reading series. Don't forget, you can listen to this and all of our other great podcasts at skylightbooks.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and we hope to see you soon.